everyone. I am Nancy Naji. I am Nancy Naji. I am Nancy Naji. Welcome to our segment Hello Money. Today we'll be talking about the payday. You have to be street smart. We all know this year. No grief for anybody is our 2024 tagline. Thank you for stopping by. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. And I hope you enjoyed this interview. Hello and welcome to the program. Good morning, everyone. I am Nancy Naji, and this is Moneyline with Nancy. The morning after June 12th is still okay to say Happy Democracy Day because, of course, Nigeria observes Democracy Day on June 12th in remembrance of Chief MKO Abiola, who was widely acknowledged as the winner and had victory of the 1993 presidential election. The election, of course, was hailed as a turning point in Nigeria's history. If we take a look at what's happened from 1999 till now, 25 years of unbroken democracy. Don't forget that we used to observe May 29 as Democracy Day from 1999 to 2018 until the former President Muhammadu Buhari formally moved the celebration to June 12 in 2018. Of course, that altercation was made to honor Chief MKO Abiola and others that have fought for the nation's democracy, that have also lost their lives in the fight for democracy. It's a day to remember also the resistance movement against the military rule that eventually resulted in Nigeria's democratic government. But as we're taking a look at 25 years of unbroken democracy, the past 25 years also has been characterized with persistent socio-economic challenges such as runaway headline inflation like we have right now at about 33.69%. The NBS will release inflation data for May? Yes, for May in the next few days. Runaway food inflation also as food prices continue to skyrocket. Of course, food inflation at over 40%, I think about 40.7%. And what has this food inflation done? It has pushed millions of Nigerians into poverty. As the NBS said in 2022, was it 2022? Yes, that 133 million Nigerians have been pushed into multi-dimensional poverty. Millions of Nigerians cannot afford the basic necessities of life. When we were in primary school, they used to teach us food, shelter, and clothing are the basic necessities of life. But now an average Nigerian cannot even afford food. The price of rice, the price of tomatoes, the price of onions, and all of that continue to skyrocket. So if we take a look at many Nigerians that are into multi-dimensional poverty, this serves as a direct threat to the nation's democracy. So today on the show, we'll be beaming a searchlight on the democratic government, and if indeed it has produced economic growth and economic prosperity or economic happiness, how many Nigerians are indeed happy that we have 25 years of unbroken democracy, and has it resulted in economic prosperity for all, even if it's not for all, but for majority of Nigerians? What desired prosperity do we really need, even as we look into the future? My guests today will be the founder of Budget, Shewonigbide, and Dr. Afolabi Olowokere, who is the author of Nigeria in Figures and the chief economist at Analyst Data and Services Limited. They'll be joining me after this, but let's quickly take the excerpts from the president's speech on June 12th, that's yesterday, and we'll actually also bring you a few details concerning how Nigerians feel. We went to the street to really gauge the pulse of the people, and after that, we will begin our conversation.
My fellow Nigerians, let me begin by congratulating all of us for witnessing the celebration of another Democracy Day today, the 12th day of June 2024. This year also marks our nation's 25 years of uninterrupted democratic governance. On this day, 31 years ago, we entered our rites of passage to becoming a true and enduring democratic society. We lost great heroes and heroines along the way. In this struggle, the winner of June 12, 1993 presidential election, Chief MKO Abiola, the most significant symbol of our democratic struggle, his wife, Kudirat, General Shehu Musa Yar'Adua, and Pa Alfred Iwani, amongst others, sacrificed their very lives. They bravely surrendered their fortunes so that our nation might have a better one. The sacrifices they made and the precious gift brought about by their selfless devotion can never be repaid nor forgotten. The nation exited the yoke of dictatorship in 1999 to become the most populous democracy on African soil, the beacon of democratic self-determination for the black race and one of the largest democracies in the world. 25 years later, we celebrate the silver anniversary of our journey in democracy. As we continue to reform the economy, I shall always listen to the people and will never turn my back on you. Let us board this progressive train together. And together, let us move Nigeria forward. Let's continue to keep the fire of democracy burning. Let's keep the torch lit for generations to come.
Time has come for Africa to engage in serious conversation aimed at finding answers for its problems.
My brothers and sisters, I firmly believe this mutually beneficial friendship will benefit from opportunities created by the African Economic Congress platform. And this is the reason we need to deepen democracy in Africa and empower citizens and civil society organizations.
We are yet to take decision to agree that things should work, because if we start working today, even 1 year, 2 years, 3 years is enough to see visible change.
The rate at which we are going for is just increasing lack and poverty. Like, things are not getting better. Just that the rich are getting richer, the poor are getting poorer.
Yeah, Nigeria working in democracy, yes and no, but we are getting there actually, definitely. We may not be there yet, but very soon the future is bright. Nigeria will get there. So I just think we just need more patience, more prayers, tolerance, perseverance, all ends to be on deck, youth should work, parents, women, we should just get the country working, not only the government, as you know. And I know Nigeria will be great very soon. God bless Nigeria. God bless our president.
25 years of democracy. First thing, because they give all this democracy, but we didn't have the democracy. Like how If they give person democracy, it's supposed to be free to do anything you want to do. And you have democracy, you're supposed to talk like you have to talk. But they just give us democracy, like say, they give us cow and see hold the rope for hand. We're not supposed to suffer like we are suffering in Nigeria. They call Nigeria like a giant of Africa, the country of giant of Africa. But for me, Nigeria are suffering. No food, no money, no peace.
That the celebration of the democracy is not important, it's not necessary. Let them focus on what matter. Let people be all right. Because waiting I focus, they might pass democracy. And they find out things go work for me, where I go do all right. Because nobody do all right. Everybody don't increase.
As you can see, I'm an elderly person. I have witnessed a military regime, and I've witnessed a democracy. In fact, I have not been so pleased with the democracy so far. You see, the way our leaders are doing it is not the way it's supposed to be. I've heard of other countries practicing democracy, and I see our own being different. We are, to me, it's like we are not fit for the democracy, or we don't know how to practice it.
I think there's an abuse of democracy over the years. So that's why I observe. Because we are not even showing this iota of a democrat in us as a nation. So that is it.
Nigeria is not practicing towards the democracy at all. They are just saying it. They are not practicing towards it at all.
Give me a Risco tomato instead. I go give you imported tomato. Be like saying that people like you, the wicked our country people. You see this Risco, Richiku or Nachiko, They take correct natural ingredients, make them. If not made in Nigeria, like a Risco, get many benefits. It help grow our economy. And job plentiful, nyafo nyafo. And when you put them inside mouth, it's sweet and it dig the one for.
Buy made in Nigeria. Buy a Risco product.
Risco tomato. Give me a Risco tomato.
All right, welcome back. Let's still talk about Democracy Day. How do we turn democratic deficits to democratic dividends? My guests are joining me right now virtually via Zoom. Let me start in the introduction with Dr. Afolabi Olowokere, who is the Chief Economist at Analyst Data Services and the author of Nigeria in Figures. Dr. Olowokere, thank you for joining us. And Seun Onigbide. Seun Onigbide is the founder of Budget. Hello, Seun. How are you? Seun, I hope you slept well because your face is still, you know.
I did. I tried my best.
All right.
Yeah, but it's still being here today. Yes.
All right, fantastic. Now let's get started. From the president's speech yesterday, he did say, "I'll never turn my back on you." And there were a few things that the president said from the speech yesterday. But while I was preparing for the show, my guest still there. Okay, can I see the two of them, please? While I was preparing for this interview today, the definition of democracy came to my mind. Democracy, of course, is the government of the people, by the people, for the people. And that definition was from Abraham Lincoln, who was the 16th president of the United States, I think from 1861 to 1865. For both of you now, in just 30 seconds each, do you think that we've had the dividends of democracy? And when people talk about dividends of democracy, many people tend to economic dividends. what do you think about how we have practiced government of the people, by the people, for the people? Dr. Lowokere, you can.
Okay, I believe I'm audible. Good morning, everyone, and good morning to our viewers, and good morning, Nancy. Yes, so democracy is very important for democracy to impact on the lives of the people. And maybe what we can say we've seen so far is a kind of a mix. We are not there yet. Definitely, there are things that are probably better now than before. Of course, there are also things that are not as good as they used to be. And for everything we do as human beings, we are always looking forward as a society. And that is very important for us. So most times, politicians will then have to come and tell us better futures ahead, or democracy is good for us, and we are practicing democracy, which is fine. But people also want to see that impacting on their lives. What is the poverty rate? What is the unemployment rate? If we have unemployment rate that is low now, how many of our people are doing decent jobs? How are we transforming the economy from a largely informal, rural, underground kind of economy to a more formal, well transformed with value addition economy that raises productivity for people and increase wealth? I think in those areas, as a country, we still have a long way to go. So in summary, I would say, yeah, maybe some would say the worst democracy is better than the best military. I'm not sure whether there is an empirical validation to that. But we've gone past the military rule. Thank God we have done 25 years of unbroken democracy celebration, but we still have a long way to go. We need to do more in terms of improving the lives of our citizens, in terms of investing in infrastructure, and in reducing corruption and cost of governance.
All right, welcome back. Sean, let me come over to you. And the question which I asked Dr. Lowokere, can you respond to that? For you, what has this democratic journey been all about?
I think thank you so much. We always agree that democracy is the best form of government, with the exception of others. Democracy we are glad. I mean, there's nobody that would rightly say we expect another interruption. We have come to accept that this is the form of government that we are stuck with, and we will have to do our best to make sure that it works. In my own view, if you take it from the economic angle, democracy we started from a very low place. You know, in 1999, we were like a pariah state. We were not recognized by global institutions. We were thrown out of the Commonwealth. And so we had a president who kept things a little bit more stable economically. And that's, created a whole cascade of reforms. Then we moved to a time of oil boom that I felt we did not manage well. We could have used those periods to make some very tough decisions that are driven well around accountability. We did not do that until we now moved to the final piece of things, where we now had the last 10 years, which has seen a bit of pushback in terms of economic growth. So I think that's the story of democracy. Democracy has not effectively worked for the Nigerian common person, because at the end of the day, you find out that the economy has weakened over the recent times. Our GDP per capita has fallen. Numbers falling, people falling in poverty has risen. Our unemployment and underemployment figures is still relatively high. So by the time you put all of this together, and our public finances are not in a great place, we're struggling to pay 60,000, 80,000 minimum wage, which is practically maybe around $50 in a way per month. So those are the challenges that we continue to face, that if this democracy is going to be effective, if we're going to make a strong case for this democracy, it has to deliver dividends. And not being able to deliver dividends for democracy is, I would put it into three things. One is the lack of accountability in the system. Within the same democracy, we can name at least 30 governors who have been accused or investigated or prosecuted for abuse or waste of public resources, or even public officials. At least over 100 public officials has been named or found in a ring of corruption. And we know that there are more people that have not been apprehended. So the prayer of democracy that we have has not been woven around accountability and effective use of public resources. Second thing is also with the democracy is also the erosion of separation of powers. We're in a time now, and it looks like we are in what you would call like a babacracy, or maybe like, everybody's either you're governor, either you're president. People don't really even understand that you're the head of an arm of government, in some sort of way. So you don't still have some form of balance, in a way. The other third thing is also trust, especially trust in institutions. Over time, we expect 25 years. There's a level at which the trust in the institutions should have gone. I'm talking about the police, I'm talking about the electoral institutions. Over time, trust has been waning out by Nigerians, as regards some of these institutions. So it's been helpful that we have recognized that democracy is the type of government that serves us, but economically it has not served the Nigerian people well.
Okay, if democracy is the kind of government that has served us, I know the political economist may slightly differ, but I'm not talking political economy today. I could look at it tomorrow to say, indeed, if this kind of democracy has served us, and if indeed democracy is a government of the people, majority of the people should enjoy democratic dividends instead of democratic deficits that we're seeing now. But let me move over to Dr. Lowokere. You've done a fantastic slide for us, and I will implore that our team puts it on air. Dr. Lowokere, how have we fared economically? Talking about economic growth, in your slide, I liked what you did for us in page 3, actually. Nigeria's GDP per capita rose from $481 95 cents in 1999 to peak at $3,222 in 2014. We are currently hovering around $1,110 now. That's page 3, actually, where I am right now. So speak to us concerning economic growth, because some people will be of the view that, okay, we've not really also done badly, as it were. Then secondly, Shemu spoke about accountability, corruption. And what came to my mind also was that we've seen different policies from 1999 till now that has, generated a few successes. Top on the list would be perhaps the telecom revolution. Another would be the banking consolidation. Even the corruption that Shemu spoke about, we saw the establishment of EFCC, ICPC in the year 2000s. So speak to me, Doctor, about economic policies, and if indeed these economic growths that we've had from 1999 to now, juxtaposes with our silver jubilee.
Okay, that's a long one. Well, thank you very much. One, let's start from here. It's important for an economy to grow for many reasons. Uh, just like a child, you also don't want to be static. Is in growth that you measure whether there is progress or not. Some have argued that whatever is static will wither away, so you just have to keep moving. And growth is not just in numbers, it has to be in real terms. Real terms in the sense that you have to adjust for the impact of price changes or what we normally call inflation. In other words, you may be getting bigger, or if inflation is very high, in real terms, in terms of concrete goods and services that people have access to, you may actually be declining. So when we look at the history of Nigerian growth, one of the slides that you referred to there, in
Yes.
1999, for instance, we grew by 0.58%. And if you look at these 25 years, the peak growth we've seen was in 2002, when we grew by 15.33%. But in 2015, we grew by about 2.8%. And then there was recession in 2016, minus 1.58%. There was recession in 2020, minus 1.92%. In 2020, we grew by 2.74%. And Q1 this year, we grew by 2.98%. What does this mean? It shows that our growth has been declining. We've not been growing as a country. And there's something very interesting about economics that for you to be able to move people out of poverty, we've done quite a number of models trying to see what can move people out of poverty. But to move people out of poverty, you probably need to do a double-digit growth sustainably for more than 10 years. In fact, some have argued between 15 and 20 years. If you cannot even do double digits, you should do high-end single digits, 7%, 8%, 9%, 10%. So as a country in terms of growth, we have not been doing well. If you also juxtapose that with our per capita income in dollars, some will argue, and correctly so, that we are not spending dollar in Nigeria. So why do you have to benchmark us against dollar? But you're also competing with the rest of the world. Your citizens buy things around the world. Your citizens compete with the rest of the world. They have to send children to schools, or they have to purchase things from every part of the world. And they also live in this world, which is globalized anyway. If you look at our per capita GDP, which used to be very low, around $481 in 1999, and it peaked to 3,000 plus in 2014. But currently, we are back to around $1,000, $1,100, $1,200. In other words, in terms of real value, in dollar terms, compared with the rest of the world, we are not doing well as a country. One major factor is exchange rates. And people have argued that it doesn't really matter at the level, it's just volatility that matters. Not necessarily correct, because as long as your currency gets depreciated, the value of your asset goes down, including your GDP. And then you become the second largest, third largest, fourth largest GDP country in Africa and things like that. So as a country, we've not done well in terms of expanding our productive base. And we still need to do a lot there. Have we not done policy? We have done quite a number of policies. You mentioned many of them. Yes. Some of them are economic policies. Some of them are social policy. There are different types of policies. Are they working? To some extent, maybe things would have been worse if we have not been working. But while we have currently at a GDP growth of less than 30%, it will be very difficult to take people out of poverty in a sustainable manner. It will also be very difficult to compete with the rest of the world as a country.
Sherman, let me come to you now, dovetailing from what Doctor has said, because if we're talking, the Doctor definitely took us through the economic indicators earlier and talking about, you know, where we are right now in terms of per capita, GDP per capita. Now, let me take you back to the different plans or different development plans that we've had in the past few years. I know that one is being currently worked on, or whether reviewed now. And I think Dr. Loweke is part of those that are reviewing the current development plan that we have now. Of course, you see, we had the needs seeds that during Obasanjo days have transformation agenda, 7-point agenda, a whole lot of them, Vision 2020, which was, I think, launched in 2009, and that Vision 2020 was to make Nigeria one of the top 20 economies by the year 2020. But in the year 2020, Nigeria suffered a very, economic disease, I would say. The year 2020 was plagued with COVID-19, and we also suffered a recession. So if you take a look at it, Seun, how far have we done in terms of development plans? Because for countries that are big countries right now, countries that are top 10, top 20, they do have development plans that whosoever comes into leadership carries on from there.
And thanks so much for that. In terms of development plans, we've done a lot. And I know that there's even one in the works right now. But
Exactly. Agenda
it's
2050 is there too.
2050.
Yes.
Yeah, there's one pushed by the Minister of Finance now,
Yes.
like a short-term kind of solution to this whole economic reforms that they have brought forward. The reality is that we are like someone that is doing dieting, but he's checking his weight every 30 seconds or every 30 minutes. You cannot see results in that way. We have not applied medium to long-term thinking and to our work. We have an agenda 2050. We have an agenda 2063. We did NEET. We did all of that. But when we moved government every 4 years, was there a clarity to say that this is how we continue on this agenda? Is this something that's sold to the public to understand that where do we want to be? For example, if the government says our agenda in 2040 or 2030 is to bring our non-oil exports, because I hear things around growth, and I'm like, growth is the product of a certain level of activities you do in an economy. So the fixation of want to grow 8%, 7% is great. But what would take you there? What is the systematic analysis or the investments that will take you there? And to say, okay, who would take our non-oil export from $3 to $4 billion to $20 billion? That's something that people can play with. And we know that every single government works around that. Or we'll say that our oil production will double in the next decade from 2 million or 1.5 million barrels to 3 million barrels per day. Those are the kind of agenda people want to follow. Or we'll take the level of educated people, our primary school system, our healthcare systems. This is going to be the standards. And everybody knows that these are the top 6 or top 10 indicators that Nigerians are going to fix or work towards in the next decade. That's how you set a vision. That's how you also sell a vision so that everybody's understands. So that each governments come in and come out, there's an institution that stays, there's a vision that stays. The unfortunate part is that we play some also politics with the National Planning Commission. At the point, we left it to be something that can do like a whole planning for the entire country. Later, we made it look like it was just another federal ministry. The challenge with our development is that we've not created an institutions that withstands political shocks and political shifts. So, which means that in the United States, for example, there are institutions that if they say we are going to the moon, either the president is killed, we are still going to the moon. And that continuous vision stays, irrespective of who is in office. We have not built the institutions to say, if we know that our challenge is productivity on the non-oil export angle, this is going to be our vision in the next 10 to 15 years. And everybody, the entire system is working towards that agenda because there's a systematic understanding that getting us to diversify our exports will change the dynamics for us in a lot significant way. We put a lot of people into jobs, and when us we'll keep our foreign exchange in a much more stronger position. So we would be able to now set those kind of agenda. But what we have currently is that we write nice documents. It feels good for a launch. But at the end of the day, there's no systematic way that we are driving towards that angle. And a lot of people talk about Nigeria's problem. We narrow it down to 3, and which is why this democracy has not delivered dividends. One is productivity. We're not a productive country as we should. Oil prices were high in the last 2, 3 years. We've not been able to even bring 1.2, 1.5 million barrels to the table. We are not growing great. Even the growth we have in non-oil exports, the exchange rates by the time you put that in dollar terms, has significantly reduced it. So we're not still a productive country as we should be. Our agriculture is still in shambles. We still have battling with food security. We've done well in ICT and services, but that cannot uplift the country if the industrial and the manufacturing and the agricultural belt is not fixed. We've not applied fiscal discipline, which is the second problem we've faced over time. We're still very reckless and wasteful with the use of public resources. We don't really understand that public service must be rooted in service properly. The third part is not being able to put our ideas into medium and long-term buckets. So we're too driven by short-termism, that follows my dieter analogy, which means we are trying to find answers in the next 2 years and the next 3 years. We are trying to weave answers around electoral cycles. And that's not made our plans square. There was a time where prices were high in these 25 years of democracies. We had a chance to reset the entire industry, take a lot more from the industry by having a petroleum industry act. We refused to do that. We could have sold some of those assets at high prices when we could have entered them into incorporated JVs. We did not do that. We could have invested some of the LNG dividends for years, and NPC could not account for that. So there's a whole lot of things in this whole democracy that the fourth term, electoral cycle, and it's not a problem. It's just that we must be able to put visionary leaders into office to understand that I'm not trying to do everything. I'm not trying to be the star man here. I'm just a point in a very long stretch. I'm just a node in a very long system. So in that way, you know that there is a vision for the country of what we are supposed to achieve in that 5-10 years. And I'm just playing my part in that environment. But of course, everybody comes and does whatever they like, and we're both back to square one at all times.
Exactly. You know what you just said? Even from where I'm seated, I cannot say categorically that these are the 5 things that we should do as a country, or these are the 5 things that Nigeria is focusing on for the next 10 years. I can't categorically tell you that right now, whether it's power, infrastructure, agriculture, or whatever. So every government that comes will just have its own agenda. Take us here, take us now. We're talking about Coastal Road. Who knows who will come in tomorrow again and shut it down, because that is even a long-term vision. But let me come to you, Doctor, and I like what you also did. If we can go back to the slide. Doctor, I'd like you to take us through 25 years of sectors, the sectors which we've had, the sectors perhaps that have grown, 25 years of growth by sectors. And I would like us to take a look at that. That should be page number 5. I would like you to speak on that. And I know the answer to this, but let me just also ask you, which democratic dispensation have we fallen to the lowest in terms of economic dividends, economic growth? The numbers are there, out there, so perhaps almost everybody will know the answer. But I would like you to speak around the democratic dispensations and the economic growth which we achieved during, of course, this 25 years. So over to you, Doctor. We'll start from 25 years growth by sectors.
Okay.
And you can give me highlights, because I know there are many sectors. Just we'll sleep here.
Yes. So maybe let's just talk about. Initially, I spoke about what we've done each of the years in those past 25 years. But we can also look at that in terms of 5 years, trying to see what did we do 1999 to 2003, then now 2019 to 2024. What have we done? Another way we can look at it is what we've done regime by regime, without necessarily saying maybe one regime performed better than others. There are arguments about conditions differ, but also responses are important. Sometimes you may have...
Exactly, you've gotten it. Conditions differ, but responses are important. For example, during Buhari, it took him a lot of time to get ministers. We had 2 recessions and 1 pandemic. The response was not too good, and it made us plummet more, as it were. So it's not a matter of judging. We are analyzing 25 years. As a teacher, you should be able to look at your script and say, okay, you didn't do well here. This is, and all of that. So it's not a matter of shaming people, but it's a matter of looking back and saying these were our mistakes and we shouldn't make it again.
So if you look at Obasanjo, for instance, average growth rate was 6.95%. That was nice. And if you look at Yaradua, average growth was 7.63%. Uh, Under Jonathan, average growth was 5.52%. And that fell significantly to 1.50% under Buhari. In other words, we were at 5.52% under Jonathan on the average in those 6 years. And then in the 8 years of Buhari, the average growth rate was 1.50%. And I think that was about one of the lowest, if not the lowest among of this president. And Tinubu is too early to judge, but at least we can say we have 2.86%. So what some can ask is whether we are witnessing a turning point or whether it's too slow or there's something like maybe a turning point or what is called a saddle point. Maybe it will just turn, then stay there or go back down. We don't know. But definitely what we know is that the growth that we've seen in the last 1 year is a bit better than what we had on the average in those 8 years.
In those 8
And we
years.
also understand is that there were recessions. There were two recessions. Many of those factors were driven externally. But as I said, responses are also important. You mentioned something now. When Buhari came to power, there was the issue of exchange rate. The gap between official and parallel market was very wide. He was asked to devalue. He was also facing minimum wage. So he was also asked to remove subsidy and then bring the cabinet on time. I think some of those things took a very long time and it impacted on the economy. In the case of Tinubu, maybe it was too early, but he also did his own almost immediately. So responses are important, and different responses will also give us different impacts. So now coming to the sectors that have been driving the growth that we've seen in this last 25 years. So we did one simple analysis to just say, out of the 19 broad sectors, so there are about 46 activity sectors.
Yes.
So then we can look at 19 broad sectors. Out of these 19 broad sectors, how many of them actually outperform the entire economy in each of those 25 years? So we did the analysis and we found out that the top 5 sectors were art, entertainment, and recreation, which outperformed.
That is on page 5 now, the slide, page 5.
Yes, page 7.
Yeah,
page 7.
Okay, page 7. Okay.
On page 7. Yes.
Okay.
So 25 years growth by sectors.
Okay.
So,
I'm sorry. Okay. Yes.
Art, entertainment, and recreation actually performed 19 times more than the entire economy. The other one was information and communication. Information and communication, 18 times. Construction, 18 out of 25. Accommodation and food services, 17 out of 25. Water supply, sewage and waste management, 15 out of 25. So let me say something about this. And it also talks to what Shewa has said before. If you look at these sectors, they are largely services.
Okay, can we go back to the sectors again? I'm calling my team to put that on. 25 years of growth by sectors. That is the slide we are talking about right now. I don't know which. Yes, this is it. So let's leave it there for a while. Okay, doctor, you can go ahead.
Okay, so I just said that we look at the entire 19 broad sectors and we saw that five of them actually perform far better than the entire economy for many of the years. So we look at how many years would a particular sector outperform the entire economy. And we saw that art, entertainment and recreation, information and communication, construction, accommodation and food services, water and sewage management and remediation. These are the sectors that did far better, that not perfect, but far better than other sectors. So I was just about to say that when she was speaking, he mentioned that we are growing in services.
Yeah.
Nothing is wrong in growing with services, but you have to service what has been produced. So if the industrial sector is weak, if the agricultural sector is largely subsistence, informal, non-mechanized, simple farming tools, and you are growing in services, you are probably servicing the economy of other countries. Okay. So arts, entertainment, and education is very important, but people will have to earn income before they seek entertainment. Information and communication is very important, but we also have to look at that critically. so that it's not just in the services or in the consumption, but in the production of those ICT gadgets, which themselves would be part of industrial sectors. So as an economy, we have been growing much more in services than in our productive parts, but we need to do more in terms of agriculture, in terms of manufacturing, and in terms of oil and gas. Regardless of what is happening to renewable energy these days, oil and gas are still going to be there for many years, especially gas. We can do more, not only in their direct exploitation, but in value addition. Because some of these areas are the areas that can generate employment. They are employment elastic. So as a country, we need to start looking at sectors that are employment elastic. In art and entertainment, few people can make a lot of millions, but in manufacturing, if you make the millions, a lot of people are working in the factory, they are going to be earning income, they are going to be having pension, they are going to be having health insurance, then you can be talking of minimum wage and things like that. So as an economy, we've not done well in production, in the productive part. We've done well or better in the service part of our economy. Therefore, we need to look for a ways in order to improve our productivity.
All right, thank you, Doctor, for that. Coming back to you, Shehu, can we talk about one denominator also, which is population? Because in the last 25 years, we've grown astronomically. I think I read something that about 20,000 babies are born every month. Is it every month in Nigeria? Or is it annually? And when I saw it, I was like, really? Who's planning for those 20,000 babies? Is Shehu still there? Now, how fundamental is the question of population? Because population has expanded astronomically in the last 25 years, yet economic resources are not fundamentally or evenly distributed. Everybody will not be a millionaire, definitely, but we've seen inequality be so uneven. That is, equality being so uneven, so much inequality in the last 25 years. In fact, inequality in the last 25 years has also grown.
Yeah, I think you make a very strong point there. And that's why some of our GDP per capita, we have to get our GDP growth right. If your GDP is growing at a lower pace than your population growth, then definitely your GDP per capita will keep falling. If your population growth outstrips your GDP growth, you have a lower GDP per capita. And it's something that we have not paid attention to. There are over 100 million Nigerians that did not exist in 1999 that currently exist today. And that's just the reality. We've become a more younger population as much as possible. And that also now puts a whole lot of stress, on the entire system. There's a lot of people in that environment also are not in their productive age yet, which means they're still schooling or preschooling, or they've left school and they're not into a functional job at most. So the huge chunk of the economy and the most productive component of the economy is not really contributing to the economy as it should. So for me, I believe that the population conversation is and the population is a very sensitive conversation in Nigeria.
Yeah.
When you mix religion and you mix it with faith and you mix it with all other issues. But my own thinking is do the long-term thing. Long-term thing is to educate everyone, educate young children. It's very, very clear that with much more education, people they tend to be more rethink their choices, around how many wives they marry, how many offspring do they have, because at that level, you want to make sure that you can do it the best.
Shehu, let me just come in here. Beyond education, because we've been going now, for the past 25 years too, there's been one kind of education or the other, either direct or indirectly, in terms of even family planning. Do you think that we should now be a bit hard on the population conversation? Because part of planning is that Nigeria's population will be 450 million in 2050. And if economic resources as we are right now are not evenly distributed to the number of people that we have right now. In fact, the data that I referred to earlier was that over 20,000 babies are born daily in Nigeria. So Nigeria, 7 million babies are born every year in Nigeria. 7 million, that's a population of like one country in Africa, or even two countries like Namibia is like 2 million people and all of that. So how should we approach the population conversation regarding also development planning? Because Western countries also have that conversation. I also know there's the disadvantage to it. China, for example, had one-child policy, they reversed, but they were able to say this and this is why we wanted this at this time and all of that. So very quickly, then I'll bring in Doctor.
Yeah, I mean, for China, that's an authoritarian system. So it's very easy to set a rule like that, and maybe people will follow it.
Okay,
But we also
apart from China, there are other Western countries too
yeah,
that,
but we have
yes.
to unpack our fertility rate and our population growth. Where are we growing? Because Nigeria has a fertility rate of around 5.8, which means 5.8 children per
Per
woman.
woman.
Yeah, but if you go to places like Jigawa, it's around 8.1. Places like in Borno, places like in Bauchi could be as high as 7.3, So and in places like in the southeast is around 2.8, So we also have to basically, or southwest around, I think 2.7. We also have to unpack where growth is coming from. Because if we don't unpack that growth, we think that we can take a blanket decision and say, okay, everybody go and do this. If the northern Nigerian is where is having the highest fertility rates, also means that the mortality rates in those environments are higher. But if you put it on a net basis, that's a part where the population is surging. The way forward is to be able to have a bigger conversation with the faith leaders and also to push hard on girls' education. Without us pushing hard on girls' education, I don't think we can be able to slow down our population rate in any way. But that's why I said when we talk about population, we are not honest about those things because it's a very sensitive topic and we just don't want to go there. In some sort of way. And everybody believes that in this first past post electoral system that we have, where it's about who has the highest number of votes, everybody thinks that the number of people I can get in my region, the much more leverage that I wield. So, I mean, those are the kind of conversations we need to bring to the table. No matter how we would have to work harder, we will have to be more productive if we want to get a higher GDP per capita, if we want to get a higher quality of life, because the population rate is outstripping.
Exactly. Okay. Doctor, let me now come to you. What are the threats that you see moving forward to the next 25 years? And what's the way forward? What should we do ASAP, at least in the next few years, that will change the trajectory of what we're seeing now, socioeconomic challenges that we're seeing now as a threat to democracy? How do we move forward from that? You have about a minute then. Shewun will come, then we'll end the show in about 3 minutes.
Okay, so major threat that I see, major one. I mean, you guys just discuss population. Population can be strength; it can also be weakness. But in our own case, probably may be our weakness because if you have largely uneducated, they don't really have unskilled people, then it can be a threat. They just consume and then you have to do something about it. But that is very important to look at. It's very sensitive. Even you have to ask the legislators and ask how many wives, how many children.
Some have 10, 17.
And that's the end of the bid.
Yeah.
But another important thing is I also see technology as something that is very useful. But for us as Africans, it may also be a threat, especially when costs of living is rising. When you need to pay labor a lot of money, people can start thinking about how to substitute capital or substitute technology for labor. And for a country that is labor abundant, you then have a lot of threats coming from that. So it's very important for us as a country to start looking at how to empower our people to be able to compete in the fourth industrial revolution world. Otherwise, we are going to be in a globalized, it's already globalized, it's getting more and more globalized. And then we are going to be at disadvantage if we don't upskill as a country. The last point I will also have to mention is that we can't, as political leaders, afford to continue to do the way we do, enjoy lives, or people think we enjoy life, even though we may argue that we are not enjoying life. People think we enjoy life and we are spending money, and things are not going well. A major threat is that when people are very poor, they can revolt, and also we need, as a country, to move forward. Whatever capacity we have as political leaders, we need to use it to the benefit of our people. And that is not only at the national level, subnational is very important because we have to go from that aspect of our country.
All right, over to you, Shewun. The same question.
25 years.
Good.
Yes, 5 years in democracy, population will be a problem. Something we have to look at. Urbanization will be a problem. A lot of people would definitely want to move to urban centers. That will stretch our population. Climate change will be a problem. Also, we also know that there will be contention for resources, and we will have massive shifts in climatic and weather patterns. So it's also something we have to pay attention to. Then we also know that security will be a challenge. If we are not able to provide improved quality of life, then we know that whatever we are facing, even in 25 years, democracy is also is at risk.
Yeah.
Because Professor Soludo said yesterday at the platform, enough studies shows that when GDP per capita falls below $1,000, in most countries,
Democracy doesn't survive.
Survive it. Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger Republic, Chad, all of those countries are all around us, and we all see as economic prospects dim what democracy became.
Okay. Thank you very much. So many thanks to you both. Can I see Shenwa and the doctor again? Thank you very much. Okay, now I can see you both. Thank you very much for joining us. And by God's grace, we'll all be here 25 years' time. Perhaps some of us would have been grayer than the others, so that we would tell a better story. Dr. Afolabi Olowokere is the Chief Economist of Analyst Data Services and the author of Nigeria in Figures. Fantastic book. Go and get it so that you also read it. And Shehu is also an author too. Shehu, remind me the name of your existential. I know it's existential. You gave it to me.
Existential questions.
Yes, existential questions. Thank you very much, Shehu Nigbide, who is the founder of Budget. That's the much we can take on today's edition of the program. Please join us again tomorrow. I am Nancy Naji. Be the best you can be and be the change that you want to see. Hello everyone, I am Nancy Naji, a financial journalist, the anchor of Moneyline with Nancy on AIT. Today I'll be talking about smart savings tips for students.
Great Nigerian students. Very good.
So attention students, hold your ears so that you can say goodbye to financial struggles. Number one, calculate your income. Know how much money is coming in so that you can set a realistic budget. Number two, track your spending. Monitor monthly expenses to identify areas for potential savings. Number three, set financial goals for yourself. Establish short and long-term goals to guide your budgeting efforts. Number four, compare your income and expenses. Ensure that your income covers your essential needs, adjusting spending accordingly. Number five, buy second-hand items if you can. And if I know you can, so save money by purchasing used items, especially books that are expensive items for you while in school. Number six, cook your meals. Cut cost by limiting dining out. Cooking at home is not only economical, but promotes self-care. I'll see you all in the next video. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Moneyline with Nancy, and join us on our program on AIT too. Hello everyone, I am Nancy Naji, financial journalist. I'll be talking about common money mistakes to avoid. Number one, ignoring financial challenges. Tough times, of course, bring discouragement, but don't let it lead you to overlooking financial issues. Make 2024 the year for financial organization. Address and understand your financial concerns. Seek advice from professionals to gain insight and clarity. Number two, avoid over concentration in investments. Don't put your investments in one basket. Placing all your financial resources in a single investment or sector poses risk of financial losses. Experts advise diversifying your portfolio across various assets like stocks, bonds, real estate, and more for better risk management. Number three, neglecting an emergency fund. The lessons we learned in 2020 from the COVID-19 pandemic emphasize the necessity of an emergency fund. It serves as a crucial safety net for unexpected events like job loss or unforeseen medical expenses. Even starting with small contributions can lay the foundation for this essential financial cushion. Number four, open communication. about family finances. Discussing money matters within the family, especially between spouses, is very vital. Understanding each other's approach to money and responses to financial situations foster clarity. So if your husband is a prudent type that knows about investment, he can handle issues about money. If your wife is the same, she can handle issues about money. But joint discussions enable better family financial decisions, including involving grown children, establishing a clear understanding of the family's financial standing. I'll see you all again in the next video. I hope you've learned common money mistakes to avoid in 2024. I'll see you all again. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Moneyline with Nancy TV. Hello everyone, I am Nancy Najide, anchor of Moneyline with Nancy on AIT. Today I will be talking about January federal government savings bonds. The Debt Management Office has introduced 2 new savings bonds for subscription at 1,000 Naira per unit. These are the initial offers for 2024, with one being a 2-year bond set to mature on January 17, 2026 at an interest rate of 11.033% per annum. The other is a 3-year bond maturing on January 17, 2027 with an interest rate of 12.033% per annum. Both bonds are open for subscription. They've been opened from Monday, January 8th, and they will last till Friday, January 12th, with a settlement on January 17th and coupon payment on April 17th, July 17th, October 17th, and January 17th. Investors can subscribe starting from a minimum of 5,000 Naira and in multiples of 1,000 Naira thereafter, with a maximum subscription of 50 million Naira. Interest is paid quarterly and the principal amount is repaid in full upon maturity. These savings bonds, like other federal government securities, are supported by the full faith and credit of the federal government and secured against Nigeria's general assets. What are you waiting for? As little as 5,000 Naira, you can invest. Check out your licensed bank or your stockbroker. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching. In case this is your first time watching us, thank you. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, drop your comments as well as like, and most of all, share our content. Bye.